This car is all about the driving experience. Twisty roads, how do we get on? Let's chuck it in. Wow, the diff is amazing, the brakes are great. Chuck it into the corners. It pulls round. Wow, what a fantastic car this is. Good morning guys, and welcome back to Damo Drives, bringing real reviews to real people and answering some of those questions other channels might not talk about. I recently reviewed the new Ford Puma, the ST Line X Edition. I've also driven a new Ford Fiesta ST. I loved both of those cars, and what happens when you combine the two? Well, you have this. This is the latest Ford Puma ST. Now, it's thanks to my friends at Hendy Ford in Tunbridge Wells. I've got the car for the weekend, so I'm going to put it to the test that I think this Puma ST is a better car than the Fiesta ST. Bold claims, I know, but we'll find out over the course of the video whether I am right or whether I am wrong. Now, in terms of styling, this is very, very similar to the ST Line X Edition. The main difference really about that car is what's under the bonnet. So this has got the same 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine as you'd find in the Fiesta ST. There are some subtle styling changes over the ST Line X Edition. So we've got a Ford Performance splitter down there, larger air intakes. We need more air in the engine for better performance. Again, styling, LED lights which are hark back to the Mark 1 Puma, but overall I think this is a really smart looking car. I don't know what you guys think. Do you like the look of the new Puma? Do you prefer it over the Fiesta ST? Put your comments down below of what you think about this car. This particular model, we've got 19-inch wheels as standard, and because it's got the performance pack fitted to it, we've got PS4 S's fitted to it, so very sticky rubber. We've also got a limited slip diff under here and a few other features which we'll discuss once we're out on the road and see if they actually make a difference. Gloss black roof, matching mirror caps, privacy glass at the back. Overall, I think this is a really smart looking car. It looks different from other cars on the road. I've not seen many that look like this. I mean, Porsche Macan, maybe this section here, but that's not a bad thing. Porsche makes some very good looking cars. But the overall look of the car, I love it. I'm looking forward to putting these things through its paces out on the roads. In the back, we've got more room. And if we look around the boot, there's something interesting in there. So follow me and we'll have a look. If you're looking at buying a small SUV, there must be a reason you consider the Puma ST over the Fiesta ST. Now, I think the main reason for that has to be practicality. Now, we'll have a look in the boot because there's something very different in here which makes this stand out a million miles over the Fiesta. Now, if we'd opened the Fiesta boot, you would have had 282 litres of storage. This is cavernous in comparison because we have 450 litres of storage. Not only that, there's something called the Ford Mega Box. Now, that's a area underneath the boot, another 80 litres where you can store things like wellies or other items that are dirty, so you don't get the floor of your car all covered in mud. I could imagine taking my dog for a walk, taking off my muddy wellies, putting them in, and then not having to worry about messing up the interior. I think that's a really clever use of area. I know some people want a spare wheel. I'm not sure I'd be that bothered. How many times have you actually changed a spare wheel recently? Put in the comments down below, because I don't think it's going to be that many people. Yes, you will get some, but it'd be interesting to find out. So we close this back up. We've got a black Puma badge, obviously the ST badge. I love these lights that stand across all of the Puma range, but it's a really smart looking car. Twin exhausts as well. So overall, I think this is a fab looking car. What we're going to do now, we're going to hop in, take this out on the road, because Like I said, I think this Puma ST is going to be a better car than the Fiesta ST. Let's find out in about 10 minutes. Can I be proven wrong? Only time will tell. We're out now on the public roads and we can put this thing to a test and see, is this car better than the Fiesta ST? If we talk about what's under the bonnet, so under there we've got exactly the same 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine producing 197 brake horsepower. Interestingly, they've increased the torque on here, so we've got 320 newton meters, whereas the Fiesta ST has 290. They've had to do that because this car has put on quite a bit of weight over its Fiesta counterpart. So whereas the Fiesta would do 60, I think it's 6.5 seconds, this does it in 6.7. So there's going to be some compromise. If you want some of that sporty ST driving experience, they're going to have to do something in order to give roughly the same sort of performance. Back to the weight of this car, so 100 kilos and sitting higher normally would mean lots of body roll, so they've had to beef up the anti-roll bars. We're 40% stiffer on the back than the Fiesta ST and 50% stiffer than the standard Puma, so that is probably going to affect the ride quality. So these tight and twisty curves are a very good place to put these things through its paces. Now, this has got the performance pack, so this is a pack which I think you must get, £950, and the most important part of that is you get a Quaife limited slip diff, and that will mean once you're coming out of the corner you can get the power down that much earlier and start progressing on. We've got torque vectoring as well, so it will brake the inside wheel. Means it should in theory be easier to hit the apex, so we're talking about more speed through the corners and just putting a bigger smile on your face. It's a very, very impressive car, and it's amazing really, it's only a 1.5 3-cylinder because it really does progress incredibly well. It's a very enjoyable car to drive. Let's find some more back roads because there are lots around here and we'll keep pushing. So we've also got PS4S tyres on here and they're designed for this car, so nice sticky rubber in these sort of conditions where it's dry is absolutely perfect. These sort of conditions, this is where the car thrives. These back roads, these tight and twisty, although really big potholes around here, and we can push on. Now the steering in this, they've made it a lot more responsive than the standard Puma, so we're 25% quicker on the steering rack, so it's got a very darty feel. Let's turn that air conditioning down, we're getting a bit cold now. Yeah, it's got a very darty feel about it. It's very nimble on its feet, and you wouldn't have thought this is like a compact SUV. It's not like anything I've driven in this segment. In fact, it's probably the only car I've driven in this segment that focuses on size, practicality and going very quickly. We are now entering a slightly faster bit of road and we can quickly talk about the different drive modes we've got in here. So there's a button over here with mode, so you can press that and cycle through the different modes, and these will change the throttle response, the steering weight and the way the accelerator behaves. So if you don't want it quite as aggressive, you can put it in, say, like Eco. And the interesting thing about Eco, which I probably wouldn't use most of the time, is when you're on something like a dual carriageway sitting at 70 miles an hour, it can actually do cylinder shutdown. So this thing's only got 3 cylinders anyway, and it can drop down to 2, which is very impressive for the fuel economy. WLTP is around 40. So we can press this mode button and go through the different options. So we can go normal, we've got sport, so that firms everything up. Press it again. We've got racetrack, and now that will disable ESC and make everything as aggressive as possible. I'm not going to leave it in there. I want some of the driver aids enabled on the car. We'll go around again. So racetrack only, and then you've got eco, and everything feels very dumbed down. So we don't want that, do we? We're in an ST. So best option, I think, has to be sport. So it's weighted everything up. We're on some lovely back roads, and we can push on. They are very bumpy, so it's going to be interesting to see how the stiffer suspension and the anti-roll bars copes with this. Is it going to shake my teeth out but give good handling, or is it going to be the best of both worlds? We have got passive dampers on here, so it's not like some of the other models where you've got active so you can loosen up the suspension. But even so, I mean, we'll push on, chuck it in some bends. How do we get on? And no slip at all. We're doing the speed limit and it's just gripping. That is very, very impressive, Ford. Brake wise, we're coming up to a junction. Now this is something I want to talk about, is the brakes on this thing. There's a positive and a negative about these brakes, which I've only just started feeling in the second day of driving. Now, if we were pottering along like we are here, the brakes, they feel very grabby. They're quite difficult to modulate. So the first inch, not a lot happens. And then after that, it then really grabs and stops you. And then if you push quite hard, it slams you in to the back of the seat. It's quite impressive in that way. But it, like I said, driving around town, it's a bit of a pain. But where these brakes come into their own is when you're really pushing on. If you want to come up to a corner at quite a progressive rate and push on those brakes hard, you really do slow down. And then you can get back on the power again and continue your rather exciting journey down roads like this. We're stuck behind this car, so let's have a chat about the layout. So in front of me, we've got a 12.3 inch digital display, and we've seen you can cycle through different modes on there. And that's a really nice feature. Originally, I think it came from the Ford GT. That's quite a cool fact. Steering wheel, now this is exactly the same as the one I had on the ST Line X. So we've got a flat bottom, got some nice white stitching around here. It's a really nice car to steering wheel to handle, and there's some massive potholes here. Got a flat bottom, and the difference with this one, you've got the ST badge at the bottom. I think this is pretty much the perfect steering wheel for me. Controls over on the left and right to control all of your infotainment system, what you see on the dash, all of your safety features, cruise control, etc. I'm not going to go through those because I did that in a previous video, and I'll put a card up here if you want to know more details about how to use them. Now, something I do want to talk about is these seats. They are lovely. We've got Recaro bucket seats in here, and they just about hold me in. I think any bigger than me, they may be a bit more uncomfortable. I did about 4 or 5 hours driving yesterday, and that was absolutely fine. So they really do hug you in around the hips, around the sides here. They are very, very supportive. They look cool with the ST logo in there as well. So overall, I love the seats. I like the driving position. Slightly higher in the Puma than the Fiesta, which is understandable. It's a mini SUV, so you are going to sit slightly higher and give you a slightly different vantage point. It's bits of road like this where the car really comes into its own. It hugs the road. There's absolutely no body roll. Hard on the brakes, stops you straight away. Get round, diff kicks in, and you can fire back up the road. It's an incredible bit of kit, really. And I don't know how they've managed this. This is a small, compact SUV. It's got no right to handle like this or progress this quickly. It's excellent. It really is an enjoyable car. I love the looks of it. I think it is personally better than the Fiesta. And in terms of sound as well, there's quite a nice soundtrack to this. It's nothing particularly to get excited about, but most cars nowadays, they don't exactly sound brilliant at all. But the fact of 1.5 3-cylinder they've made it to sound like that, that's actually pretty impressive. Some of the audio is piped into the cabin, but I don't really care about that. I've never cared about augmented sound, as long as it's roughly the sound, and this thing isn't supposed to sound like a screaming Ferrari V12 going down the road. As long as it's roughly right, then does it really matter? I don't care if the local people can't hear this thing and it doesn't scare horses and cyclists as I roar past. But cars are all going this way, aren't they? As soon as we go electric, there'll be no noise and it will be completely augmented. I'm pretty sure they're just getting us ready for that in 2030. Some of the cabin is really nice and some bits I'm not quite as fond of. We'll start off infotainment system. Obviously that's a large screen there. All touch screen running Ford Sync 3. It's a good infotainment system. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so the functionality is good. Styling wise, I'm not too sure. It's not just Ford that do this, it's the stuck on iPad thing going on. It's okay and it works, and it's just probably 50% or maybe more of manufacturers have gone for this style. But one thing I really like, under here we're starting to get into the world of physical buttons, a bit of a rarity in today's world, that a lot of manufacturers seem to be going over to touchscreen, and some parts of touchscreen I really like, other parts I really dislike. Now, climate control and air conditioning, stereo, those sort of things I feel should definitely be physical buttons, 100%. And in this case, Ford, you have done an amazing job. I'm not sure if getting some brownie points from Damo Drives counts towards much, but we've got physical buttons down here. The whole of the climate control section, we've got physical buttons, dials, and it's really, really nice. I wish all manufacturers would go back to having this sort of thing. Stereo as well, as I mentioned, you've got physical buttons for that, so that's really, really good. That is a massive bonus for me. We've got like a fake carbon fibre trim that runs around, just adds a bit more class to it. B&O stereo before I forget about that. Door cards are nice. We've got like a leather effect on there, some white stitching just to break up the look of it. Practicality, loads of door bins, good sized glove box, central armrest, although it's not the best put together, a bit wobbly, but probably not going to be shaking that around too much. But the overall cabin, they've done a good job. This central section, maybe a few more pennies could be thrown at that. It's a bit, I'd say, functional. It's just not quite as nicely finished as some of the other areas of the car. I like the gear stick though, that's pretty nice. Got the red markings on here for which gear you're in, and that's pretty smart. So overall I like the cabin, I like the driving feel. There's not a lot in this car I'm not that impressed with. We've already talked about a couple of things like that. Now, one area which it really depends on, oh, that was bumpy, that was really bumpy. One area which is a letdown for some people will be the ride quality. Now, this thing is firm. It's not ridiculously firm, but you can certainly feel the lumps and bumps in the road, getting jiggled around quite a bit. But we know, as I mentioned earlier, that is because of the stiffer anti-roll bars, the suspension setup, the whole car being a lot stiffer than the Fiesta. So if you didn't want the sort of performance this ST offers, but like the looks, then the ST Line X is a very good option to go for. Cheaper as well, I think it's about £5 grand less. So if you like the look and you want all of the practicality and styling, then one of the other models is perfect for you. But if you want this performance, if you're someone who's considering maybe a Fiesta ST but want a bit more room, then this is a really good option for you. But that's where Ford are aiming it. They're aiming it at current Fiesta ST customers. You know, they've got a family now, or they just want a bit more room, then this really could be a great option for you. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this review of the rather brilliant Ford Puma ST. I asked at the beginning, was this a better car than the Fiesta ST? And I think in most ways this is the better option. Somehow it might be heavier and slightly bigger, but I find this a better drive. I think a lot of this could do with the Quaife limited slip diff on here and the firmer suspension setup. So yeah, my option is this car over the Fiesta. I don't know what you guys think, whether you agree or completely disagree with me, but there you go. Damo Drive says get the Ford Puma ST because it's utterly brilliant. But that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one. A big thank you to Hendy Ford in Tunbridge Wells. So if you are interested in new Ford or want to test drive the new Puma ST, this is in stock at the moment. Give the guys there a ring and you can go out and enjoy yourself in what I think is a brilliant car.